This is my camera. Let me know when you're ready.
This is mine.
Call me. One.
Good evening, Dr. Triggs here. Welcome to Triggs Table Talks, and today I have a very special guest. I have Nia Brown, an entrepreneur, author, speaker, and true change maker who started writing at just 14 years old and has carried that discipline into her career, where she empowers and inspires those to step into adulthood with confidence. From her roots in Baltimore to building her own platform and voice, she's dedicated herself to breaking cycles and teaching those to break cycles on their own. So with all that being said, thank you, Nia, MBA, for being here to Triggs Table Talks.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I'm glad. So just jumping off, I want to say that I loved your book. I know we had like a little bit of talk about it right before we started shooting. Mm-hmm. But no, I think what you wrote is, you know, it's a great thing. And, you know, you've been writing since you were 14. How did that come about? Like, what was going on when you were 14 that made you start putting pen to pad and start expressing yourself?
Sure. You know, I feel like I've always been a creative person, just naturally. My mom's super creative, and I think those genes just kind of got passed down to me.
Right.
And for a long time, I would do like a lot of poetry and just be writing.
Yeah.
And then funny enough, I end up being inside of this like English class, like freshman year of high school.
Yeah.
And the assignment was to write a children's book. And so my class was a little disruptive. So like I think only one or two of us did the assignment, me included.
Yeah.
And my professor or the teacher at the point, she was like, you know, this is so good. Have you ever considered journalism? And I was like, well, which journalism?
Yeah.
And then after that, I got to writing for my high school newspaper.
Okay.
And then I went on to pursue journalism at Penn State. So it's like from the very beginning, I've just always been naturally attracted to just writing, expressing my thoughts via word, and it kind of just took off from there.
Ah, that's crazy. Is there something in your childhood that kind of pushed you towards that or shaped you into like really tapping into that creative side?
I would say that when I was a child, I wasn't as boisterous. You know, behind closed...
You weren't as boisterous?
I wasn't as boisterous.
Okay.
Surprising enough, I wasn't. I had to grow into that confidence of, you know, having my word, standing on my word, and, you know, just enjoying what I have to say.
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, as a young child...
You hadn't come out of your shell
Yeah,
yet.
I didn't come out of my shell yet. You know, my mom would tell people that I was a crybaby because I was. I still am. But I really had to learn and just, you know, flow into the natural state of things of me being who I am. And once I really got that confidence, I was, you know, accepting of who it is that I am and what it is I am. I was like, just go full throttle with it. Like, say what you have to say. Who's going to stop you?
If your younger self could see where you are right now, what do you think she'd be most proud of or most surprised of, or both?
My younger self... I don't know if I would be surprised because I always had a plan.
Okay.
I feel like, like at a certain point, I said, no, girl, you're going to do this, and this is what you're going to do, and this is why you're going to be successful, and these are the things you have to accomplish in order for it to happen.
Yeah.
So I've always been someone that's like, okay, these are the plans that I have for my life. This is the trajectory I want to go on. So this is the map you have to make in order to reach those goals.
Yeah, young Nia, hard to please, boy.
She was. I'm telling you, she was very hard to please because I just had high standards.
Right. No.
So I just, you know, kind of stuck to that.
Yeah, no, that's super dope. So they always say like consistency beats talent. What's one habit that's been kind of like your secret weapon as you've been, you know, as you've gone through your career and been, you know, become successful?
The habit of prayer.
Okay.
I pray every single morning. I feel guilty at times. I'm just like moving too fast and can't pray. So I'll make sure I find some time throughout that day to send gratitude to God. I think that showing that type of gratitude makes such a big difference.
Yeah.
I always go by gratitude is the attitude.
Yeah.
So whenever I have time, I make sure that I give him all the praise because I know that without him, I definitely wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have gotten as far as I've gotten.
I'll say, like, for me personally, I've just got into praying consistently. I'm probably like a year in, like praying like every morning and doing like I do like men's devotional. However, I do feel guilty because I did not pray this morning. I went straight to the gym and did not think about it. So I got to like make up for that. But no, I totally agree with you. I feel like it kind of like sets the day in motion. But also I know like for myself, because I'm up so early that like kind of by midday, I feel like I'm kind of like not necessarily slacking, but I've kind of like forgot what I prayed for, or what my lesson was in my devotional. So I put like an alarm on my phone, like for like 12:45. Basically, it's just remember, like, be a good person.
A time for reflection.
Yeah, exactly.
I got you.
Like a little pause for the cause situation. But no, I think I definitely feel you when you say that, because I don't know, for some reason it just makes the day a lot smoother. And then even if the day isn't smooth, it's like you're able to like cope with it, I think, a lot better.
Sure.
Yeah.
100%.
I like that. So you wrote So You Want to Be an Adult during the pandemic. What was the most vulnerable part to share or to work on?
Honestly, the entire book was super vulnerable for me, because it started off originally as me writing notes for one of my little cousins to get her through adulting. Like, that's how it even all came to be. I'm like, child, she needs some help. Right. Let me just write down some notes. And then I was writing down the notes. I'm like, well, she's not the only one that could use this advice. This probably could be, substantial for other people. So why don't you write it in a way that's not just curated for her, but that can, be received from all audiences.
Right.
So I developed a plan. So, okay, let me change the way I'm writing this. Let me make this a little bit more broader. Right. And I think the most vulnerable part about it was admitting that I have ADHD. And I think that people hear that and it's so, kind of just like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Right. It's ADHD. People really just like overlook it.
Yeah.
When it's really a diagnosis. And I was diagnosed by 3 doctors. Yeah. Because I didn't believe the first diagnosis. Right. And
which is weird, because most people, they be like, oh, I got ADHD, and they just run with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were like, no, I don't want that label. I don't want that stigma or anything.
I didn't, because at first I was ashamed. I was like, I don't think, and the thing is, like, I already knew, like, I have a hard time concentrating just in general. Like, my friends will tell you, they'll be telling me a story and I'll zone out and say, girl, what you say? Yeah. Because I'll just be thinking about something else. But, once I really started to take it a little bit more seriously, like, if you toned in a little bit more and you treated this, you probably would be able to reach your goals a lot quicker and it wouldn't be so many obstacles. Gotcha. So I took it a little bit more seriously. I wrote in my book about how, I've been medicated. And I know especially in like, Black and brown communities, medication is sometimes frowned upon because it's like, you don't need that. Yeah. But I mean, if it helps you, it helped me. I definitely say I'm a supporter and I'm an advocate. And I'm, an advocate for if you want to do natural ways or, holistic ways as well. Right. But I think if you recognize that there's an issue, that you should do what it takes in order for you to, remedy whatever that issue is, or at least make things easier, because life doesn't have to be hard. Yeah, I feel like a lot of times we want to be the superhero. You want to just, hey, I can thug it out. But if you can get some assistance, well, why not? Right. So I think that part was the most vulnerable part.
Yeah, no, I can definitely understand that. I just, like I said, I just think it's so different, because a lot of people, they get one diagnosis and they just run with it, or they almost use it to an excuse or like to a detriment. So like, kudos to you to be like, whoa, I want to make sure, because a lot of people just would have been like, whatever. No, I love the book. Like I said, like I mentioned earlier, I was like, I wish I would have had this like 16, 17 years old. I felt like it would have gave me like a good grasp, because I mean, I was in like mentorship programs like during that time, and like, yeah, bits and pieces like I would get, but nothing like comprehensive like this.
Sure.
To like, like really hone in on or watch out for, especially like that credit card chapter and personal finance. Man, I remember getting to college and be like, oh, sign up for this and you get a free pizza. And then I remember like coming home, like, like a couple of months later, like coming home and talking to my mom. My mom was like, you need to stop filling out for these credit cards. I was like, I hadn't filled out for no credit cards. And then I thought about it, it was the free pizza.
It's the free pizza.
Man, so they got me. And so, no, I think, like, I was telling you off camera that like, a lot of nonprofits or mentoring programs could really take this information and really like just give these books out and even do like presentations on this to really like give people the upper hand. Sure. Because a lot of people just don't have it. And then they're being raised by some people that have never had to experience these things. Not necessarily they hadn't went through trials and tribulations, but like a thought out plan that could, help them as well.
Absolutely. So. And we don't know what we don't know. Exactly. So it's like, I didn't want to make my book in a way something to demonize or chastise people. It's like, hey, I want this to be accessible information so that anyone could, read it, retain it, and move forward whatever moves they want to do with their life.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I I think you said, I forgot what the lower age was, but the highest age was like to 103 or something like that.
I figure by the time they're 103, they might know how to be an adult, maybe.
Or they just avoiding it at that point.
At that point.
So as an entrepreneur, we struggle with doubt. What's like a personal I'm not quitting mantra, or what's something that you like say to yourself when like things are getting difficult, or you're just having like, a tough writer's block or something like that?
I would say oftentimes I'll say to myself, if not you, then who? Because if not me, then who?
Right.
And I'm like, God is so good because he's only made one of us.
Yeah.
So each person has their own gifts, their own talents, and that's something that should be celebrated and recognized.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm taking the time to celebrate and recognize my own wins, what I'm really good at. I'm not good at everything, but the things I am good at, I kind of want to go, all the way with it.
All in, for sure. So you were raised in Baltimore. Mm-hmm. That, Baltimore has its own stigma. It's rough. Then The Wire didn't really help it out much. It's a tough area. How has growing up in Baltimore influenced you to the person you are today?
I think it's been such a driving factor for the way that I behave, for the way, good and bad, for the way that I problem solve, for the way that I critically think. Right. I think a lot of times being from Baltimore, you don't necessarily always have the same opportunities as other people, even in neighboring jurisdictions. Baltimore is split into being Baltimore City and Baltimore County, and then we'll have, neighboring jurisdictions such as Montgomery County or Prince George's County and things like that. Other places that get a lot more resources. Mm-hmm. So it's like when your back's against the wall and you're only provided, you only got what you get. Right. So it's like, okay, let me make the most out of this. Mm-hmm. And, I wouldn't change it for the world. Kind of how you mentioned, Baltimore does have a stigma. That stigma is changing. It's changing quickly because of the leadership that we have in office between, Mayor Brandon Scott and Governor Wes Moore, who is the governor of Maryland. He's I believe, the only Black governor right now. So it really gives you, it makes you proud. I have a sense of pride for it. And that's why I, again, wrote this book so that I could be of a resource to my own communities before I try to uplift other communities. I want to make sure that my community is straight first. So, I feel like it's contributed to so much in me. The way that, I'm able to empathize with people. I recognize that even the way that I was raised is different than the way that other members of my family have been raised. I've realized that there's been a certain amount of privilege that's been provided for me that might not have always been allotted for other members of my family. So it's like I never want to be the person that gatekeeps. I'm always someone that's there for my friends, for my cousins, for everyone that pretty much comes from the same city as I come from. Because again, you recognize that within those different dynamics, some people are more privileged than others, and some people have other opportunities that others may not have. And if you do have those opportunities, why not share whatever knowledge, resources, X, Y, and Z with those that may not have it, so they could also have another one up.
Right. So you said a word that it's funny because I was just thinking about this over the weekend because I saw this post, like gatekeeping. I feel like that plagues the Black community right now. Like people get to a certain thing and
they want to be the only one.
Yeah, exactly. Which I don't understand.
One.
Like there's money out here for everybody. There's resources out here for everybody. So I don't understand like what's the point of gatekeeping? Why you just can't give me the game? And then the people that do get the game, they get people give them a hard time for it. Like like they're acting stuck up or this, that, and the other. So I love how you brought that up because I honestly think that's almost like a plague right now in the Black community. Like,
and the thing is, when you don't gatekeep, the amount of blessings that come into your life, when you provide an opening for other people, it just pours in naturally. It just pours in. I've never been the type to say, well, I'd have this information. I know this could uplift someone else, but I'm just going to intentionally not share that. Right. I've never been that type of person.
Or I would put you on, but I need you to do something.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, what's for you is for you, and what's for me is for me. So I don't ever feel like it's a threat. I don't think it's a challenge. Like, even if you do the exact same thing that I do, you don't do it like me. So there's no reason for me to feel,
the exact same way.
Like, there's no reason for me to feel any type of way about that.
Yeah, I mean, I work in, I'm down here in Miami. There's a lot of surgeons out here, and they're like, oh, well, I'll just go to somebody else. Like, that's okay. I have no problem referring someone out, especially if I feel like someone does a little something better than me or something like that. Like, that doesn't hurt me. Like, there's enough for everybody.
It is.
And I think that in that in itself, I'm glad you brought that up. But coming where you come from, or any of us come from, everybody has to break these generational cycles. I like how you brought up that, like, I may not have had it as bad as some of my other family members, but I realized that what's something that you feel like was maybe a generational cycle that you had to break, or something that you felt like you had to like push through, and now that you've gotten here, you can bring more of your family members or more of your loved ones this information or privilege?
Sure. I think that's a good question. Something I feel like I had to push through, and it was something, and it might have been a cycle, right? Because my mom had me, my parents met at Morgan State University. Mm-hmm. Shout out to the Bears.
Yeah.
But
HBCU, right?
MSU?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to make sure when I went to college that I finished college all the way through. Mm-hmm. And that's not, no shade at my mom or anything, but it's like I wanted to make sure I pushed that through. Right. And I saw a lot of people within my family or just within my community that didn't always have the chance to push through. People have started. Mm-hmm. You see people all the time start college and don't finish it. Yep. So I just kind of wanted to, to do that. And even my mom, she was like, God forbid, like, I don't make it all the way through. Like, she wasn't sick or anything, but she was just saying, like, if I don't make it, like, please, like, she was telling my stepfather at the time, like, please make sure that she finishes Penn State. Like, please make sure that she gets through it. And I'll never forget that, because it's like, those are things that you don't necessarily think about as a child, but hearing your parents say it to you, like, it was like a reaffirmation. Like, she wanted me to push through as hard as I wanted to push through. Right. So she's always been my biggest advocate.
Well, I bet she was loud and proud come graduation.
Oh, though. She was. She was extremely loud and proud.
From
she
Penn
had my
State
pictures.
Too?
Yeah, she was extremely excited.
Crazy. So how do you measure your impact? You have a great career. You have an advanced degree. You got the book now. So how do you like sit back and like, oh man, like what do you consider the accolades? Like people coming up to you and be like, oh, that's great, or your salary continuing to rise, or what is something that you look back and be like that shows you like, oh, I'm doing all right out here?
Sure. The real answer is the amount of people I'm impacting. Yeah. People will come up to me and say, oh my gosh, like I read your book. Like people that I didn't even know they purchased the book. Yeah. And they'll let me know, like, I read this chapter and that changed the entire way that I, budgeted for the rest of the year. Or that changed the entire way that I move forward. When I'm doing different work in Baltimore, I partner with, organizations such as the South Baltimore Learning Center, which is a nonprofit, which is like one of the #1 adult literacy centers in the state of Maryland. Right. And, it feels good to partner with people to ensure that our community and our residents and our citizens can be uplifted in a way that, hey, this is pushing them forward towards whatever their goals are, or just to have them be, successful members of society. Right. I also partner with the University of Maryland for their SMART program, which is pretty much like an at-risk program for the youth. So typically most of the young men, it was all young men, but most of the young men that was in that program, they were all first-time gun offenders in Baltimore. So being able to be a part of something that's like way larger than myself, I think that brings me the most comfort in the work that I'm doing, because I know I'm doing it, for a reason. Right. And I live a good about an hour away from Baltimore. So whenever I have to do these things, I'm driving back and forth up 295, like, dang, I'm in traffic again. But it's all worth it when you get there and you see, people really respect and, value what you're saying to them.
You're like, man, I done really made it. Like, this is crazy. They waiting on me. Yeah. That's awesome. So now, switching gears, we're going to ask you a couple of plastic surgery, fun, interactive trivia. You know what I'm saying? So, true or false, a BBL is about adding fat to the hips and the butt?
I'm going to say true.
That's true. Exactly. Okay. Brazilian butt lift.
Baby got BBL.
We're taking your own fat from liposuction, wherever that fat may be, whether it's the chin, the arms, the legs, and transferring to your hips and your butt. That's what they call, a Brazilian butt lift. So.
Okay. But question for you. Yeah. Is there such thing as a skinny BBL? Because I see the girls with the skinny BBLs and they look so good. Like, they
absolutely.
Super bomb.
I feel like I do a lot more of the natural look to skinny BBL look, where it's just like they skinny, but it's something back there. Okay. But it's still proportionate to their same frame. Sure. But absolutely. Yeah, it's a big thing.
Mariah the Scientist.
Yeah. Yeah. Did she have a skinny?
I don't know, but the body is chef's kiss.
Yeah. She has a nice body, for sure. What is the average recovery time for most patients can return to work after a tummy tuck? Let's say they do a corporate job. Not like something where they're going to be moving around and stuff.
Tummy tuck. And because I've been doing my research too. So a tummy tuck is not for weight loss.
Thank you.
Period.
Thank you.
I've been doing what I got to do. Okay, so a tummy tuck is not for weight loss. Let's say corporate job.
Yeah, so you send it a dash. You're not
4 weeks.
Yeah, you can go back a little bit sooner, like 2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks, okay.
Yeah, if you're doing something more physical, like, like a mail carrier or something like that, I would say about 6 weeks or so.
Because it's just to remove the extra skin.
Exactly. And we tighten the stomach muscles, all that good stuff.
See, I have no kids yet, but I've been plotting on my mommy makeover.
Oh, already?
Yeah, like, I want to put the deposit down as soon as I find out I'm pregnant.
Oh, my God, this is crazy. She said, I'm on the schedule, like, as soon as the baby's out. As soon as
the 6 says it, I'm like, oh, I got to call somebody.
Oh, Lord. All right, so let's see. Which of these is not a part of Dr. Triggs' signature lipo 360 procedure, also known as precision lipo, waist sculpting, abdominal contouring, or facial fat transfer?
Facial fat transfer?
Yeah, I don't do a lot of face stuff anymore.
Okay.
I did when I was in the hospital back in Ohio, but I just do mostly breast and body at this point. And I'll do some eyelid surgery, but I don't get a lot of people asking for that, so I do like it. So you pass.
Look at that. Do I get free lipo?
No. Oh, man, I had to give my disclaimer. Usually I give a disclaimer and be like, yeah, this is some tricky Triggs trivia, but you don't win nothing. But you did good. See? But I think I got something for you at the end of the show, though, so don't hold me
down. Don't count you out.
I got you. All right, so as someone who works in self-development, how do you think society's view of self-improvement compares to its view of physical enhancement like plastic surgery? Do you think we're moving more towards that? Or do you think, as someone that works in self-development, how does that kind of relate to the physical appearance?
Sure. I think as a society, we're definitely moving towards that. I think every single day there's like a brand new procedure that can be done. Right. You can move your hairline, you can move your earlobes, you can make yourself taller. So there's always enhancement procedures that can be done. So I 100% think we're moving more so towards that. I think that for the second half of the question, I think that self-improvement is all about how you feel. And self-confidence, although procedures could be, accomplished and done, if the work internally is not done, you're still going to have an issue.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. Yeah, I don't care how good you come out. If you have some underlying mental aspects that you're still struggling with, it doesn't matter how good the surgeon is or how good the result, you're still not going to like it or you're not going to appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So question for you.
Yes.
When you're doing these procedures, do you guys ever do any type of mental evaluation to see hey?
Not necessarily. So the way the conversation goes is basically I'm asking about their expectations, what they're wanting to achieve. That's usually happens in the beginning of the conversation and towards the end of the conversation when I give my whole little spill too. And so if things aren't really clicking, there's a few red flags I look for. And if we get to that point, then that's when we got to have that conversation. Well, maybe I'm not the right surgeon, or maybe, saying you should, I don't necessarily say talk to a therapist, but, that's how we kind of address it at that point. So it's kind of like a subtle thing within the patient consultation.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. Because if they come in there with some weird stuff, I'm like, yo, what are we doing here? and I've literally said, I was like, what are we doing? No, we're not doing this. This is, you don't call them crazy, but you gotta check it a little bit. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Do you think women are judged differently for having cosmetic surgery versus men?
100%. I feel like most of the time when men have enhancements, you don't necessarily know.
That's true.
There are certain people, rappers, I don't know, maybe Moneybagg Yo. But,
It's funny because his name doesn't get tossed out a lot. It's usually Big Sean, of course, Drake. You know what I'm saying? It gets tossed out of there.
Oh, because they have the ab sketching or whatever.
Well, Big Sean said he didn't.
Ciao. But Big Sean.
Right.
But, I think that, okay. I'll say this. I think that, because in that moment, we made a joke. I think that when it comes to men getting plastic surgery, it's almost well, why would you do that? You're a man. You don't have to be performative. I think as a woman, it's kind of indoctrinated in you if you want to be in certain industries or be in certain rooms, that getting plastic surgery is kind of that walk to fame for you. It's kind of that walk, that path. Okay, I want to be recognized by certain people so I can have certain influence on how they treat me and how I'm, being perceived. So you want to go ahead and get those enhancements. But I also feel on the flip side, women also get demonized for it. Hey, all you have is you're just a BBL bimbo. All you have is X, Y, and Z. And I'm a pro-surgery girl. I get into the surgery girls. Do some people do too much? Yeah. But I think that's with any aspect of anything. Some people do too much doing anything. So it's
And you always have the people in the comments oh, why you just didn't go to the gym and why you got to do all of this and this, that, and the other. Because, those will be the same ones that's going to drop under this clip and be like, well, I don't know about that. They should just go to the gym. You shouldn't be telling people to go get surgery and stuff like that. So,
but even after you get surgery, you still got to go to the gym. Like, I don't think the gym is not optional. Like, you have to go to the gym regardless. So, if someone decided to, do whatever, get a little nick, get a little tuck, get a little push, you still have to go to the gym. Like,
I feel like, it's people's bodies. Like, as long as they're being safe and they're not like, jumping into something and not completely like healthy, then I think it's fine.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Some people see plastic surgery as fake. Other people see it as powering. We already know where you land on that. So
but it's definitely about the location that you're in. So hypothetically in Miami, I was trying to do some research to see how many women like average. And I think it said like 1 in 6 women in Miami have had some type of procedure.
I didn't even know that.
I think, don't quote me on it. Yeah. But I definitely think it was something like that. And then you look at different, jurisdictions and regions, but a woman that's in North Dakota, it might be 1 in 25, 1 in 500 maybe.
Yeah.
But it's also about again, where you are, proximity to the people that you want to be next to. Miami's a hot city.
Yeah.
LA's a hot city. So it's depending on the people that you want to be around and the influence that you want to have and the crowds that you want to, be in those circles, having that plastic surgery probably will do something for you because you'll be able to kind of walk in like, okay, well, she's quote unquote one of us.
Right. No, that's a good point. Do you think body image plays a role in mental health today?
100%. Yeah. I think that when you look good, you feel good. Yeah. And that's also subjective because, how I look today, someone may be like, I don't really know about that, but I feel good about my body.
Exactly.
But depending on someone else, they might not feel good about their bodies. And no matter what side of, the journey they're in. Someone could be 125 and not feel good. Someone could be 175 and not feel good. Mm-hmm. Or, just whatever the case may be. So it's really about how you feel about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Deion Sanders said, if you look good, you play good, they pay good, something like that.
Yeah.
So
that's a good quote.
I love that quote. I think he has it up in his office. I follow him a lot on IG. If you could design the adult wannabe version of Plastic Surgery Guide, what would be the first chapter talk about? And I think you kind of alluded to this. If I think you're going to say what I think you're going to say.
I don't know if I'm going to say it. What was the question?
So if you could make an adult wannabe guide for plastic surgery.
If I could make an adult wannabe guide for plastic surgery, I think the first chapter would be do you want to do this for real? Because, once you do it, you can't go back.
That's true.
So
That's
true. Let's start with, are you sure?
Yeah.
And then after that, it's okay, well, why?
Well, why? I like that. No, I like that because that's where I thought you were going to go, somewhere towards the mental component of it. Are you really sure about this? Have you really thought
about it?
Exactly.
Have you seen the implications, both positive and negative? Yep. Are you ready for the backlash / Are you ready for the attention that's going to come depending on what type of procedure you have done?
I don't think a lot of people talk about. I think even with some of the patients that I've interviewed, I don't think anyone has really. If they've alluded to it, but no one's really talked about the newfound attention that they get, especially if they're, a little bit more busty or more dramatic in the BBL situation. Can you handle that? Or how do you feel about that?
And how does that make you feel? Because sometimes even as a woman, if you're getting natural attention from men or just from people in general, sometimes it makes you really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So knowing that you're putting on, you're adding to these assets that's going to make it even, draw more attention.
Right.
Are you ready for that? And that's a big question.
Especially if you're someone that's always been pretty low key too. Because there's some women that can handle the attention because they're used to being in it.
Sure.
Or, just a person in general. But the person that has never really been in attention and all of a sudden it's just you turning heads and stuff like that. How do you handle that?
It could be overwhelming.
Yeah. No, I can only imagine. I can only imagine. Do you think appearance changes can be a positive role in confidence or can it just entirely be something different?
I think they can be a total, positive thing when it comes to your confidence. I think that, what you see in the mirror, no one else has the same vision as you. When you look in the mirror, what you see is different than what I see when I look at you.
Right.
So it's however you show up and you show up for yourself, as long as you're satisfied with whatever you're seeing, then that should always be hey, that's all that matters.
Right.
Now, some people, people get addicted to doing plastic surgery and they're never satisfied, which is something deeper than having the procedure in the first place. Because that's just putting a Band-Aid on what the internal issue is.
Oh, absolutely. So someone like yourself that's being in corporate America, how do you balance I love this look and this is how I want my hair, or this is how I want my dress to be versus, being in corporate America. How do you deal with that?
what else? What do you mean by that?
So, like, I know, like, some companies is frowned upon if you're like wearing your hair natural,
sure,
or the type of like, clothing you're wearing, or if you like, really busty, or really have like a more dramatic look. Like, is there something in your head that would be like, oh, let me chill out, let me not wear this, or let me be cool? Do you think about that in your normal day to day,
sure,
or at least when you first were starting?
Yeah, I think I'm cognizant for sure.
Yeah,
because I recognize like, oh, like I'm a little bit more of on the curvy side compared to other women, and I just have a great body. So I just want to be cognizant on how it comes off whenever I'm in those professional spaces.
Right.
Because I don't want people to 100% just go towards that or even speak to me because they like the way that I look. I want them to like the way that I think.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that I'm making a marketing impression with my words opposed to with my face and with my body. Because I feel like once you have a certain level of confidence and you recognize like, hey, like this is what I look like and I understand that, then it's nothing that's like, a surprise. Like, oh my gosh, I'm getting attention from this. Well, that's been happening forever. So like that's not really, You know what I mean? Like it doesn't really.
It's not new to me.
It's not new to me. So it's like, okay, well, did you hear what I had to say? Did you read my book? Like
exactly. Yeah. Or you just smiling in my face.
Sure.
No, I got you.
But I feel like you have to be cognizant of the way that you're wearing. Like, I might have a nice slim cut dress, but if it's like too much, of a V cut, I might put that away because I just, and there's also a time and place for everything.
Right.
And I talk about this a little bit in my book. I put the example of if you were at a corporate or a work happy hour and the rest of the group has been ordering wine and beer, and the bartender asks you, what would you like to drink? What's appropriate for you to order? And I put
I want the Henny.
Exactly. I'm like, if you go for that, it's like, well, you kind of not going with the status quo.
Right.
It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's going to be a noticeable thing.
Right.
So in the event that you get into conversations and you say something that might be heated, or just whatever type of dialogue you have with someone, they're going to attribute whatever you're saying to whatever you had drinking.
Yeah.
But if you're going with the status quo, everyone else has beer, everyone else has wine, that's kind of like where your bandwidth is, then it's like, okay, they're not even going to second guess it because it's already happening amongst the whole crowd.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So we'll jump into some like fun questions.
Okay.
So what's your favorite Baltimore food?
My favorite Baltimore food would have to be crab cakes.
Of course.
Have you ever been to Baltimore?
Yeah, I was there for Afro Creek.
Yes. I did see your pictures.
I had a great time. I ate at this restaurant. It was like this steak restaurant that was really well known.
Was it in Harbor East? Do you remember what area?
Yeah, I think so. Because I stayed at the Pendry.
Okay.
So it was like 8 minutes away from the Pendry. It was like this well-known steakhouse. Man, that food was so good. I want to go back just for the food.
Baltimore is a foodie city. Little do people know, that is a foodie city. I drive all the way from Prince George's to go to Baltimore to get food because there's no food like back home.
That stuff was
and people in Baltimore can cook.
And you know what the crazy part is? I didn't even get like a crab dish though.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I know. I wasn't thinking. And the crazy part is I was in the Uber going to the airport on Sunday morning. I was like, yo, I didn't get any crabs. What was I thinking? Like, I had like a crab cake and stuff like that, but like I know they have like the specific like crab, like you pull apart type crab.
Have you ever had crabs? Like, have you ever like?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while, but both my parents are like, my dad's from like New Orleans and my mom, like we always stay like on coastal cities, so yeah.
Okay, so you're not. You know how to pick a crab.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. That's why I was kind of mad at myself. I was like, dang, I ain't even tried a crab out here because I heard it's like a little bit different from just getting like snow crab from Florida or something like that.
Next time you're up there, let me know. We'll get crabs.
I got you. So, what song do you have on repeat right now?
The song I have on repeat right now, I would say maybe it's "Burning Blue" by Mariah the Scientist.
Okay.
I love that song.
That's dope. She just had the album release party, I think,
she
the other day.
did.
Yeah, it looked like it was dope. And what's one thing you can't live without?
My laptop. I take my laptop everywhere with me.
Even on vacation?
I have it right now at the room. I take my laptop everywhere with me.
What you doing on it?
What? I gotta work.
When you on vacation, you working?
I'm always
you one
working.
of those?
I'm one of them. I'm always working.
So you just can't turn it off?
I'm sorry.
Okay. All right.
I'm always working.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's working.
Vacation. We working right now.
Yeah, that's true. What's one adulting fail that you've had that you can laugh about now?
One adulting fail, mastering the art of ACH coming out your account when you're paying your bills. Oh, when I was...
Yeah, boy.
When I was younger, you'd be like, okay, cool, I still got $400 in my account. Little did you know, you forgot that you put in for $170 to come out on Thursday, and it's Saturday, and you think the money's still in there.
Man, I saw this meme. It was like on a Friday having $500, and then on Tuesday, you afraid to look at your bank account because you got like negative 17 cents in there. That was me in college, like doing the most.
It's a thing.
Yeah. That's why I needed the book.
See?
Yeah,
you know
just doing the most. If we gave you a giant billboard in Miami for a week, what would it say?
The billboard would definitely say, either "So you want to be an adult?" ? Or "Life be lifing." Let me help you.
I ain't gonna lie, that first one would be like that's a very good marketing slogan right there. So you want to be an adult? Because I'd definitely be like, what are they talking about? Yeah, let me see. Let me see what they're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, corporate America coming out.
Okay, Triggs investment.
I see it. All right. So if you had one piece of advice you could give someone who feels like completely stuck in their life right now, let's say they're in their mid-20s, you know how you kind of like get through college and you're kind of like, man, this is not what I thought. I got my degree. I'm in this like entry-level job and just feeling stuck. What would that be?
I've been there, so I get it.
Yeah.
100%. I would say that keep pushing and really ask yourself, what is it that you want to do, and what do you want to, like, what are you trying to accomplish? Yeah. Because I talk about this in my book. Sometimes you might not have that answer. You might not know what you want to do. You might not know what type of career you really want to just like, invest and go full throttle with. But you might have other goals. You might say, hey, as an entry-level person, I want to make $70,000 a year. Yeah. Okay, so what jobs in your area are paying for $70,000 a year with your skill set and with your experience? Right. What can you do to make that within the next 24 months? Right. And then you start hashing out a plan. I always tell people, you're never stuck. Yeah. You might just have a rut, but you're never stuck. So it's like, okay, you're right here. What's the next move? Right. Actually, and the thing is, when people ask themselves that, it makes them really start to think. And I feel like thinking, as cliche as it sounds, like a lot of times people just aren't thinking. We're moving so fast and we're always on autopilot. So it's like you have an automatic response. You have an automatic motion for whatever it is that you're going to do. But you don't ever get to sit down and just take 5 minutes out your day just to think about, hey, what am I trying to do? What am I trying to achieve? What's next for me?
It's funny you say that, because I feel like when you're a college student, you're just go, just trying to get through the classes. You're not really, you think you have an idea of what you want to do, but you're just going through the classes, just trying to get the grades. But you never stop to think of like, is this really making me happy? Do I even like what I'm going through? And this, that, and the other. And I feel like that's why we get these degrees and we feel stuck, because it's like, man, do I even like this? Or like, I was just trying to get through. And people almost have to like refine themselves, like what makes me happy, and so that's why people have like these career changes.
And that will continuously change just as people grow. Like, you're not going to be the same human you were when you started college, when you graduate college, when you're 5 years post-college. We continue to elevate as humans. So it's like, whatever's making you happy or did make you happy in the past, maybe those same things don't bring you the same satisfaction. Yeah. So what's, coming about you today that's, hey, this brings me satisfaction, this brings me joy, this makes me feel alive. Yeah. And you have to ask yourself that based on where you are in the space that you're currently in.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So finish this sentence. The real secret to adulting is...
not caring. I mean, really, you have to care, but sometimes I feel like when we're younger, we're just taught with all this anxiety just to care about everything, anything. You have to do this. You have to care about this. Sometimes the answer is just don't care right then. Like, it might be important, but in that moment, if you're having like, an anxiety flare up, or you just can't get your mind right, just don't care at that moment. Yeah. Circle back to it. Like, it's probably really not even that serious. Like,
I read a lot of like self-help books, self-development books. And the last one I just read was was it Effortless? I think it was Effortless. And they say the exact same thing. It was like, that may be important at some point, but it's not the one main thing right now.
It's not.
So, focus on that one main thing and then move forward.
Move on.
It's funny how you say that.
Yeah. I mean, like, this is everyone's first time being on earth, being an adult. Like, you've never been this age and this moment on this day before.
Right.
It's brand new for everybody.
Right.
And I feel like as kids, we're so judgmental of adults because it's like, well, you're an adult. You should have this figured out. You should know this. You should know that. And when you become an adult, you're like, dag, I still don't have it together. I still don't know the answers. And you start to maybe self-shame yourself. But that's not a time for self-shame. It's like a time for acknowledgement. Like, I don't have it all together. And I don't know all these answers. But that's okay too.
Well, damn, Nia. Well, with that being said, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And as a special gift, what I would like to do through my foundation is purchase 10 copies of your book.
Oh, that's so nice.
We got to get the word out some more down here,
do.
man. No, I think
nice.
I really believe in it. I think it's a dope read. It's a quick read, and it'll get you where you need to go.
Sure.
Like, sometimes we just need a little bit of a guide because, like you said, we don't know what we don't know. And even with our parents, like my parents gave me the best advice they knew they could at that time. And so, and it's my purpose to try to take that and run with it with my own children. So,
for sure.
But yeah, if people want to purchase the book, how can they find you? And, if you offering any mentorship or anything like that,
sure.
What's your contact?
Yeah, I'm always offering mentoring and partnership opportunities, whether locally to the DMV, Baltimore area, or even nationally. They can find my book at adultwannabe.com. I'm also on Amazon, and my book is available in ebook and print copies. So whether someone has an iPad or if they just love the old school feel of just having the book, on copy, I got you covered.
Bet. All right. With that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. If you know anybody that would love to hear this story, hear this chat, click like, subscribe, share this story. Also, we got to pay some bills. I am a plastic surgeon. Remember, your consultation is completely free at Dr. Triggs Miami or at W. Triggs MD. And until next time, thank you for tuning in to Triggs Table Talk.